Okay, I'll just start and see where it goes. I hope that I can get into the creative mood that I have in my mind when I'm walking around thinking about these things, because I think they're so great when I tell myself how they work. So, today I'm going to do one thing, that would be priesthood. Priesthood, that's a big thing in Mormonism. Like, we have this idea that priesthood is a restored thing. And it has to be restored and it has to be proper. And I will tell you why it has to be proper, but also where the idea that Mormons have, where it gets the idea wrong. The priesthood is a true thing, but it's not how I at least got taught that it works. But if you flip it around like this, it's gonna make sense, and we can also see how we should implement it and use it. So, just to start off, I divide this word into two sections, where the one is hood, of course, and the one is priest. So I'm going to start with hood, and just to explain how I look at it. It's quite easy actually. If you look at hood, we can put up another word that is neighborhood. Okay, so what I want to get at is that the hood is basically a situation like it's an organization. So, if you translate this to Swedish, you can make it even bigger analysis of it. Priesthood is prästadöme in Swedish, and it's, you see here is priest, and döme comes kungadöme, which then translates to kingdom. Okay. Kingdom to English. So where I want to get at is that the hood, neighborhood, we also have brotherhood and sisterhood. It's just an organization of people to do something. So if you would have a neighborhood, you have neighbors in the hood, and if you'd have the priesthood, you would have a bunch of priests doing something together. But now I want to get to the core idea, like the main idea that we have to understand. There is always within religious and spiritual traditions, there's this idea of salvation and this idea of clarification and enlightenment and all of these things. And my approach to all of these ideas is that they all are the same thing, described but with different words. So to reach a level of aha moments or revelations or euphoria, you start to understand things that otherwise is difficult to understand. And this is what you need to understand in order to become a priest. So, let's do it like this. Of course, I always use this model of 3 parts when I explain my things, because I can, through this model that I've named Tritus, I can shoot through different concepts and ideas, and they will all end up and be framed in this idea. And basically what this is, it's a simple way to put it, just in a simple way to put it. The model goes from concrete, I've said this so many times, to abstract. Okay, they go from concrete to abstract. So this would be reality, split into 3 parts. I know it sounds perhaps a bit confusing, but we split reality into 3 parts, where we have the measurable, the theoretical, and the most abstract part. Okay, so that's Tritus. Now let's go to the priest again. A priest is someone that preaches, someone that talks, okay? Usually they talk, or they very convincingly teach something. Okay. So if you have a teacher, there's a core thing that a teacher needs to do. They need to have mastered the ideas that they are talking about. Okay, so we have a mastery problem here. Now, if you have a teacher at school, for instance, they're teaching, I don't know, take whatever. Maths is a good example. If you have a math teacher, they're sort of going to be a math preacher in a sense. They need to work themselves into the mathematical systems until they get a point where they say, aha, and then they master it. In the moment of aha, you master the topic that you're working with, and then you know from within yourself, from within yourself, with confidence, what you're doing. And then you can teach and you can preach naturally. As long as you haven't pushed yourself onto the aha moment, you have still some ways to go. And this is explained also in the treatise model. It is explained in this way, that you look at the outside world and then look at the theoretical world until you push yourself into an aha moment. Because an aha moment is very abstract. I hope this needs to be explained a lot more in order to make sense here, but I want it to make sense. Okay. How should I do this? Where I want to get at is that the way that we learn and develop is through aha experiences. And I look at it this way, that an aha experience is a very abstract thing that we can process our mind through. But when that happens, we get transformed in a way when we own something new. So the aha experience is the path that we develop ourselves in. Now this aha process that we develop ourselves, if we take life here, and we have aha moments here, the level magnitude of aha moments, and we have time here. If we start when we're born, we sort of, all the time when we push ourselves and we go through hard times and good times and whatever, we have aha moments. And the magnitude of the aha moments going upwards can vary. It's like a fractal principle, this with aha moments. So you can jump really fast sometimes and sometimes slow. And if you're disciplined and work really hard, you can reach further into the aha experience. So, what it is that, as far as I'm concerned, life can consist of certain life principles that exist within the abstract realm of the treatise. So whenever you push your mind through the problem of confusion, you will end up with an aha experience, and then you get some new information back into the mind, and then you can get it out into the world, and then you become a master. There is then a way to reach an absolute aha experience. This is the key thing. There is a way how to meditate yourself deep down into your mind, behind your mind really, because when the mind stops, you get into the eternal perspective. Oh, this is too many concepts at the same time. I'm jumping too fast. The main idea here is that when there is a thing that a priest needs to learn in order to be able to teach with authority and those things. And within Mormonism, that sort of was, it is all pointed towards Joseph Smith and his work, that he sort of pushed himself through here and met Jesus Christ and God the Father, and then from that experience he had that as a reference point, so he could work out this, work through the doctrine and change it and do it better than what he thought it had to be, whatever. But the important thing here that I want to stress, there's two things. Okay, one thing is that if in order to teach, you have to push yourself into the realm, I think you can call it the presence of God. These are big Mormon words, how to explain this process. But where I want to get at is that this process of reaching the aha moments and reaching the absolute is not owned by the Mormon Church, which is sometimes you get the feeling that they claim. Sometimes you feel within Mormonism that this process of reaching the true priesthood and becoming, like understanding in an aha moment how life works, is not a concept that is owned by Mormonism. This is my conclusion. If you have that approach, it's going to turn into something else. That if you have a human being here, we can consider him to be a temple where all the experiences of God resides within. Basically, if we take the approach that Mormonism doesn't own this process of pushing yourself into the abstract realm of aha experiences, because we can't, then we get the idea of the priesthood as something that exists for everyone. But it's not even a priesthood. The priesthood is just a poetic term outside of the true priesthood. And once you get into that realm, you're going to start to realize that we're all one and we're not divided. As the Mormon teaching is, that we're divided into like this core principle that we are the only ones that can do this with people. That idea brings out a lot of side effects and problems that we see within the church. If we just have the approach that the illumination and the enlightenment and the salvation and all of these ideas are all joined together within the human experience, we can then just accept that anyone, anywhere, has the potential to be what we would call a prophet, that would have the absolute experience of being alive. So, to me, it makes all more sense if we take that approach to the priesthood. So we would have to have, it's correct in a sense that you have to have the authority in order to teach and preach, but you gain the authority through pushing yourself to the aha experience. There's another thing that we can do here. Let's also put this core idea, put the name of God here. Okay, so you'd have to learn the name of God. This became a bit confusing. I hope this makes sense. Okay, here's what I have to do. I just have to work this out a lot better before I start the videos. And do more like a red line to it. The concept is like too big for me. I have all the ideas at the same time and I'm moving really fast between them. So I hope that this makes sense. The core thing to understand is that everything relies to the treatise model. And you could even explain the priesthood through this if you have a good understanding of what I mean with this simple model that becomes really complicated if you'd like. So, basically what I want to say is that if you take the maths example, you would have to have a preacher that's... okay, I'll leave it to that. Let's see how this works.